Becky, one last go. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I'm so relieved. The webinar would not have been the same without you.
Oh, you're so sweet.
But I also know that you can't stay too long, can you?
I have my children to feed.
Okay, right. So I'm basically, apologies if we run ahead of ourselves. I was going to be bringing Becky in at relevant points. Basically, we're just going to have to do all Becky's bits now so she can go and feed her children. We don't want hungry children. So, Becky, at the minute you've probably been listening. We're talking about sophisticated investors. Now,
Yes.
I'm pretty sure, you can sort of let us in on it, but I'm pretty sure you've raised joint venture finance from sophisticated and non-sophisticated investors. Is that correct?
That's right, yes I have.
Okay, great. So I'm going to ask you on this section about sophisticated, then about non-sophisticated. Before I do that, we need to get you in the picture. Everyone needs to know who you are, and you know, and what gives you, you know, credibility in joint ventures. So,
Okay.
how long have you been in the progressive community?
We've been involved in Progressive for 2 years now. Joined the masterclass and then went on to VIP.
Okay, and how long have you been in the VIP?
2 years this September. Actually.
Sure, and for those of you that don't know what VIP is, it's our kind of higher end mentorship, accountability, community support network. In the time you've been in the community, in a moment give me your results. Now, I've put up a slide here so people can see you, because this is the latest picture I could find.
Gosh, that's old.
Your hair probably looks different now. My shirt certainly doesn't look like that. Martin is still as relaxed as he's always been.
Yes.
But the big thing is your results are now way, way in excess of what's on that slide. So
Yes.
just put us in the top line in as many words as that on the screen. How many deals, in how long, how big's your portfolio, what's your net cash flow? Just replace us and put us up to speed in the last 18 months what you've done.
Okay, so the deals now amount to 22 properties. The portfolio is worth 1.8 million. The cash flow is approximately £8,000 per month net. So that's after all costs, after all mortgages, etc., etc. Average below market discount is about 26% on each property, and yields range between 8 and 13% on each property. And yes, and I run a successful lettings agency as well.
And you have time to spend time with Martin, and you have time to spend time with your kids.
Should be feeding them out, but yeah.
I mean, just take us a step back from that, because I
Yeah.
know you had a couple of really burning reasons, almost pains before, to get into property. It'd be really great just for sort of a sentence or two to share that, because I find that really inspirational.
Yes, I think really Martin and I weren't seeing each other. I was a nurse working as a manager in the NHS, and anyone that might know what working in the NHS is like, or as a nurse, it can be quite stressful. I was working nights, I wasn't really seeing the children or Martin at all, so we wanted something to fix that. He was a builder, didn't want to get his hands dirty anymore, and we wanted to spend some more time together. So we decided we wanted to work together, build a portfolio, and ultimately one of our big goals was to send the children to private school. We managed to do that last September. They're starting their second year after having a fantastic first year at private school, and it's all been worth it. Martin and I work together, enjoy working together, and the kids are very happy. So, yeah, it's all good.
Okay, that's great. And would you say that you know, financing the children through private school, has that been funded by the portfolio pretty much predominantly?
Oh, completely. If we hadn't done that, as a nurse, I would never have managed to fund the kids through private school. It just, there wasn't enough money at the end of the month to do anything really. I mean, we had nice holidays, but we could never have saved enough to send the kids to private school it really was just a dream. Then it became a goal of ours, and then it became a reality.
Awesome.
So.
Okay, so Becky, you're in the picture. That's great. It's great to get to know you. Talk about some. I mean, did you hear what Pete was saying about the sophisticated deal he did?
Yes.
Okay, so what would you add to that? Because, you know, I know you've done a sophisticated JV, and I know it's to the tune of more than, you know, 6 figures, and it starts with more than a 1. I know you have to be discreet, you know, when you do work with JV partners, but add a couple more things that's been really important to you when you've been doing JVs with more sophisticated investor types.
I think the communication is one thing I've learned. As a nurse, I probably should have realised this was the key at the very beginning, but I don't think I did realise that. Just keep communicating, explaining what's going on all the time, talking to people, asking what's the most important thing for you in the joint venture, or buying this property, or building your portfolio, and then you get the answers that you need to help progress the whole joint venture. What else? Trust, really. I don't think you can say too much about that. For me, it's really important from my side. It was important from the joint venture people that we've got with us, that they trust us, and that we can give something back to them, and vice versa.
Okay, constant communication, not taking anything for granted.
Yeah.
Keep feeding back, keep them in the loop, understand what they want and what's important to them.
Yeah.
Excellent. Now, I know a lot of people come on these kind of online trainings, if you like, you know, and they're looking for more nuts and bolts.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important to get the right balance.
Yeah.
A lot of the things you've said, bearing in mind you could have said a lot of technical things, you could talk about different structures and everything else, but to you the most important thing sounded like the first thing you said was communication. So
I don't think it needs to be technical. I think often on things like this, not so much on yours, but I think JV is banded around, and it's not actually explained, as you just said, in a nuts and bolts terminology. It needs to be broken down, and ultimately it's about the people that are involved in the joint venture. Joint venture is just an umbrella term for you getting together with one or more people and building a relationship and getting out what you want and what they want, in
Sure.
my humble opinion.
Well, you know, that's your experience, and that's why you're here. So,
Yeah.
how many joint ventures have you done in terms of people?
We've got 5 different joint venture partners.
Wow. Okay.
Mhm.
And we're talking 6-figure sums in total?
Yes. Yeah,
Yep.
sure.
Okay. And of the 22 properties you've bought,
Mhm.
how many would you say have been with your own hard-earned deposits?
Probably the first 16,
Uh-huh.
maybe less, maybe 15, I suppose.
Okay. And but the next 7 have been with other people's money.
Yes, for sure.
And why did you? You know, I know it's just different from everyone, but we're asking you. So why did you go into joint ventures and carry on buying with joint ventures rather than using your own resources?
Simply, we ran out of money, as lots of people do. We were lucky to start with a little bit from some equity, but that soon ran out, and we needed to keep buying because we just realised the power that property gives us, and the lifestyle that it has, and the things that we've got, i.e. the private school for the children, and we didn't want to give that up. We didn't want to stop. You know, I'm quite competitive, so the next deal comes along and I'm like, okay, how can I fund it?
Yeah.
So we had to go to people and find ways that we could continue buying so that it worked for us.
Okay, great. Thanks, Becky. Stay with us for just a couple of minutes. I won't keep you too long, but I just want to add a couple of questions in,
Yeah,
just
that's
check in
fine.
with everyone, because obviously this is a long this is more like a webathon this evening, so I just want to make sure everyone's enjoying it and that they can hear you and everything else. So just checking in with everyone again. So hopefully you're enjoying this. Please just hit the hand button again if you can hear us, if you can see the screen, if you're engaged. There's a hand button that you press on the GoToWebinar panel. Please just hit that so I can see. So that's great. Angie, yeah, got you. Craig, Dave, Cliff, David, another 2 Davids, Deli, Derek, Dinos, Donna, Ed, that's great. Fatima, have not heard from you. Felix, not heard from you. Francis, great to have you checking in. John, not heard from you. Ken, just checking with you, that would be great. A couple. Amanda, how are you? Just saw your hand raised there. There's 3 Amandas on this evening. There's 7 Daves. So just checking. I just want, I know it's a long evening. I just want to make sure that you're enjoying it, that you're getting a lot of value from it. Okay, so I had a couple of really good, really relevant questions which need answering right now before I bring Becky back in. I've got John, who's a young joint venture expert as well. I want to bring Pete back in. I've got loads more of the blueprint to cover with you. So this is a question from Dean. Dean, this is a very smart question. Sorry, I only just managed to get to it now. Hi Rob, why would the investor loan you the money to do a deal when they could do the deal by themselves and get 100% of the money? So Becky, while you're here, and yes, people don't just want to hear from me, why don't you answer that? Why are they going to, I mean, because you've had the experience, why don't just they go and do it themselves and have 100% of the money?
People have different ideas of what they want. Some people don't want to source property, go out there, spend hours trudging through estate agents. They want someone who has got rapport with the estate agents already. For instance, I've spent a lot of time, and I know John and Peter the same, actually building rapport with the estate agents so the deals come to you. Now that takes a lot of time and effort, and not everybody wants to put that effort in or has the time to put that effort in, but they do realise the value of property and building a portfolio. So I think it's very necessary to know that everybody comes from a different part and area of what they want. Some people will be happy to go and do that, others love their day job and want to just continue doing that. So I think that's really the key.
Sure. Okay. I think that's really important. A couple of things to add is some people have tried it and it didn't work for them and they believe in it, but they didn't manage to do it. Some people are just too busy, and many people that we have through the Progressive VIP program and trainings, part of their journey is learning it and then outsourcing it and using other people and finding people in the community because they just don't have, they're just sometimes too busy. People like us, Becky, myself, John, Pete, one of our biggest passions in life is property, but that's not the same for everybody else. Some people, they had a tenant once, they're an accidental landlord, they like the baby but not the labour pains, if you like. A lot of people are now turning to property because they can't get better returns anywhere else. 0.5% Bank of England base rate. They're not getting any returns on cash. Traditional investments are rubbish. Government-backed investments aren't even going up better than the rate of inflation. Stock markets are all over the place and volatile and unpredictable. And so more and more people are turning to property, but they don't know how to do it. And this is really where you come in. And a lot of people say to me, oh, Rob, I'm a newbie. I've only been doing this a few months. Why would anyone who's got a lot of money give their money to me? Because of all these problems and all these pains. And I'm seeing more and more people with more and more money go to people who don't have a lot of experience because they don't have a better solution. So not all of you on this online training are newbies. I know many of you on here are multi-millionaires. But the concepts still apply. And people need you, whether it's for the money, the resources, the contacts, the deals. And that's just the reality of where we are right now. And you know what? 5 or 6 years ago, it wasn't the same. And they'd be doing it themselves. People don't trust corporations, companies. They don't want to put their money into pensions anymore because they know it's going to go up in smoke. So, and property is a secure asset. So really good question, Dean. Thanks for that. And I've had the chicken and egg question from Landa, so this has got to be done. And then I'm going to be talking to you again, Becky. So Landa is, what comes first, the deal or the JV partners, the chicken or the egg? Okay, really good question. Now, you need both is the simple answer. If we look at the blueprint, I'll go back to the blueprint, you can see that sourcing the deal is top of the list. If you don't have, you can have all the JV partners under the sun. You can have access to £1 million with a little finger by the side of your mouth spinning on your egg chair. But if you don't have, you know, you don't have JV partners, you don't have deals, you need both. So they come at the same time. But you might say, well, which one technically comes first? Now, there are different opinions on this. Some people, it's right that you should find the deals first. I can hear Becky taking some notes.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm just going to mute you for a second.
Okay.
Some people, they'll find the deal first because it motivates them to find the money. And so for some people, it's right to find the deal first, because without a deal, they're just not going to go and hunt the money down. But for other people who like to have all their ducks in a row and a bit more detail-oriented, they're not going to want to go and find the deal first without the money. But it's easy to sell someone who's got the money if you've got a deal. So I would say hand in hand, it's definitely part of your overall strategy. I would say if you're not that motivated, if you're educated but you haven't got as many the results that you want yet, go find the deal first and go and find it from an estate agent and have the pain of loss and have the pain of burning a relationship as the motivation to go and find the money. If you like to have all your ducks in a row, you go out, you do stuff, you're organised, but you like to get things organised first, but you will commit to it, go and find the money first. So hopefully that really helps. Really good question again, that was from Landa, so thank you for that. Okay. Right, got more questions flooding in now. That's great. Who should we check in with next? Right, so let's move on content-wise. So we've talked about sophisticated investors, venture capitalists, business angels, private investors. The VCs are the big heavyweights. So let's talk about some benefits with VCs, angels, and PIs. So I'm going to teach you, by the way, at the end of the webinar where to find all these people. So just park that in your mind. Benefit of a VC is liquidity, tens of millions of pounds. Drawback is if you've got a 30 grand 2 up 2 down terrace in Manchester that you want to borrow money on, they're not even going to look at it, they're not even going to bat an eyelid, and it's not going to be worth them getting out of bed for. So you might not be at the stage to go to VCs yet, but you might. VCs, bigger biceps that they'll flex, more control, they'll want to give away more control, but limitless funding right now. Then you've got the angels. They're going to be a little bit more accessible than the venture capitalists. You are going to be able to have a chat with them on the phone. They are a real person. They are negotiable, but probably not as much as they'll make out. They are busy people, after all. They'll probably want a little less control, but they'll want some control. They'll probably want to share in your business, which could be a good thing, because if you have an angel, or I've got friends of mine on this webinar who are listening in who are non-exec directors. And there's a lot of benefit from having non-execs on your team.
I'll be finished in 10 minutes, okay?
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Becky.
Oh.
And I told you we wanted Becky on this webinar. The drawback of angels, say, over private investors, again, is how much are they going to want and how accessible are they really going to be. But a private investor, professional but not at that level, they're going to be personal, they're going to speak to you on the phone. It's their hard-earned money and they'd feel the pain of losing it. Someone like Mr. James Kahn, it might be 20, 50, 200 million, and he knows that, 8.5 out of 10 deals go south. But a private investor, they're going to be really actively involved in each deal that they go into. The drawback of that is they might micromanage you. The benefit is they're going to help you. They're going to be more flexible, more solution-based. There's going to be more communication, more personal relationship. So they're the ups and downs. Because I'm not here to blow smoke up you. I'm not here to give you a load of hype and just tell you all the benefits. The reality is there's a trade-off in everything you do in property. You can win big in property, but sometimes when you win big, there are things that you have to give away. If you want a 35 or 40% below market value deal, you don't get that for free. You've got to trade something off. And that might be a lot of time nursing the vendor. That might be that you have to buy it cash. There's always a trade-off. And in every one of these strategies I'll give you, there's big upsides, but you have to give something away for it. There's a trade-off. This is not get rich quick. This is not unrealistic, dreamy stuff. But when you get all the strategies, you trade off the things that aren't important to you, but you get the upsides that are hugely leverageable for you. And that's the great thing about having multiple strategies. So that's sophisticated investors, my good friend.